So, I mean, technically, yes, you are in there. But it's a different version. It's not exactly you.
But it's pieces of
Yeah.
us come through in our characters. So
yeah, it's the creative outlet that we put into the work. So we're going to be there, but it's not always 100% us. So just because you write somebody who is a psychopathic murderer doesn't mean you are a psychopathic murderer.
right. I would be a disaster at that in real life.
It's a great way to exercise those inner demons, to take those intrusive thoughts and turn them into something entertaining.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
Well, look at that. Anita's always there right on the start. Hey,
Yes.
Anita, how you doing? Well, I guess we should get started. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Spilling Ink. We are the talk show that takes you behind the book to meet the authors and professionals in the publishing industry. And we've got a new to you guys, somebody I've known for years, and I'm glad to be able to catch up with, Miko Montgomery. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here, and wonderful to see you again.
Yes, and I'm sorry that a couple weeks ago there was just a horrible snafu, like one of those you can't predict the bad luck that was going on.
Yes.
But right before the show went live, my whole neighborhood went down. Apparently somebody hit a major transformer nearby and took out almost all of Henderson.
Yes.
And it included not only the power, but it also included the cable. So no signals were getting out either. So as I'm desperately trying to text Jane, I'm like, I can't connect. She couldn't get anything.
Now, I remember it was a bad day
anyway.
anyway.
Back in, and I couldn't get back in. So now I have the magic pass, and I can press buttons and make a mess of this.
Yes, we have corrected that problem. It's not going to happen again. Knock on wood. Now that I say that, because you know what happens.
Yes.
Hey, cool gamer. Welcome to the show. So we are back. We've got a great guest to talk to this week, and Jane, love to catch up with you because it's been a while.
Yes. Things are good. I mean, I got this came out, Modern Goddess came out on the 7th, so on election day. So there's that, and in December I have another Christmas one coming out. So yay.
Can you believe it's already almost Christmas? What is that?
I know. The countdown is on. My husband counted the days between now and when we're retiring. He is on this, march of this full-time job is going to end.
Y'all deserve it.
Yes.
That's a good thing.
So, yeah.
And Miko, how about you? Getting ready for the end of the year?
Yeah, I suppose it's it sounds very decisive about it, it's a weird time of year for me, holidays and my birthday and other anniversaries and stuff. So the way I kind of fortify my emotions for this time of year is to make sure that I get a lot done. So I've done a lot of writing, done a lot of music, practicing photography, stuff like that. And that just kind of keeps me focused on not thinking about the holidays, I suppose.
Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds like a lot of good ways to avoid it, though. Photography, writing. I mean, all the creative stuff.
I'd be dead.
So what have you been creating lately? What is your most recent thing that you're working on?
Well, what I've been working on lately is I've got a new comic book that's going to be coming out in the spring. So I've been writing that and working with my artist in Brazil and kind of dealing with that and just totally focused on that. And I'm really excited about that. You probably dig it because it's about vampires, my first vampire story. Vampires in Las Vegas.
Yes.
And
awesome.
a take on it that I've never seen before. And I'm really, really excited about it because I love vampires. I mean, I don't think they're played out at all. People say, no, I think zombies are starting to get a little played out. But vampires, to me, I love them.
I'm in that same camp. They were my first love. I've always loved vampires. And as many of the Spilling Ink viewers know, I have a fear of zombies. I don't like zombies, so I can't do the zombie thing.
Here, read my Snow White story then.
You can't do it. Zombies freak me out.
I don't know if you've heard this, but supposedly the type of monster that you're the the most attracted to or had affinity for or whatever, it supposedly reveals a lot about you as a person. Have you heard that?
No,
Yeah.
no, I would love to know more about that.
Yeah.
The zombies are the big thing right now. And what are zombies? They're just kind of these mindless eating machines. So they're not elegant. They're not cool. But that's the big thing right now. And if you look in society, what do you see right now? Kind of zombies in a way, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there's also that element of fighting the zombies. I think that might be the attraction for most people.
Okay.
Is going up against those zombies, surviving against those zombies. I think that's where
Being
the
the hero.
draw seems to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, becoming the hero, the one who's, who makes it to the end without getting bitten.
I suppose. Okay. All right. All right.
And you're right. There's a lot of zombieisms out there. We can relate.
Mm-hmm.
It's vampires for me still. Until the Cenobites came along. Do you know who the Cenobites are?
No, what's
They're
that?
from the Cenobites were from the Hellraiser movies.
Oh, see, I never saw those.
Yeah. They're elegant, just like vampires are. They long flowing clothes and stuff. And they don't run around or anything. They just kind of move and flow and stuff. And that appeals to me. So they're Cenobites and vampires for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, it's always been wolves.
Is that right?
Yep. I have had an affinity for wolves since I was a little kid. Yes.
That's very
cool. So the shifter thing is a nice, and I've only written actually two shifter books. I haven't written a lot of it. But wolves are my thing. I grew up with a poster of a wolf over my bed, a big gray wolf, and I loved it. Wow. And I read, the Lobo stories and Canadian wild stories about wild dogs and wolves growing up. So
those have always been my second favorite. I have my wolf. It's hard to put on screen, but my good boy, my wolf tattoo.
And you wrote Pretty Little Werewolf. Isn't that your book?
Yep.
Yes, that's hers. Hers.
Yep, which is an offshoot from my Immortalis Vampire series. So they are connected.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, it took me, I resisted on the vampire thing too for a while. Because when I started, I was like writing FBI thrillers and supernatural suspense. And then I wrote the Nighthawk series, which was my first vampire series. And I twisted the vampire lore.
Yeah, you got to make it your own.
Yep. So yeah, that was fun.
Okay, excellent. One more thing, I'll leave the vampire thing alone. What's the most influential, not the greatest, but what's the most influential vampire film of all time? I'm just curious. There's not a right or wrong. I'm just curious what your answer would be.
Oh,
Salem's Lot.
Okay.
That's tough.
And
that is really tough because I've watched so many over the years that I love certain pieces of, the old Nosferatu,
the Dracula,
Yeah. Although I did have a special place in my heart for Interview with the Vampire.
That's a great one.
I did have a very special place because I liked the exploration of the vampire as not just a mindless monster feeding off blood, but as a real character. And I think that was one of the ways that Anne Rice really set herself aside from all the others.
Yes.
Anita says Nosferatu. Yeah, that was such a classic. That was such a classic.
The reason I ask is we just kind of came out of Halloween, and I've had this discussion with many people in the last few weeks, and no one mentions the film I'm going to suggest to you, and it's called The Horror of Dracula. It was made in 1957, released in America in 1958 by a studio in England called Hammer Films. And the reason that film is so important is the first time we saw the canine fangs, the first time vampires were in color, the first time we saw staking, the first time we saw any sort of sexuality. I mean, maybe hinted at with some of the early things, but in this movie, it was front and center. And when that film was released, it just changed everything. And everything that we know now, the major tropes come from that movie. Yeah, so look for that.
Horror of Dracula. Okay.
It's also called Dracula. it was called Horror of Dracula in America and Dracula everywhere else because the original Dracula was still playing in America at the time. So they had to call it something else. But it was the first Hammer film released in 1957 with Christopher Lee. And you look for that.
I will have to look that one up.
Absolutely. You'll be amazed when you see it. Amazed. So that's
I always like good recommendations.
All right.
Watch me watching this stuff tonight.
Well, you're so young, but you remember the Dark Shadows. You've heard about Dark Shadows. Well, I don't know if you know, but a theatrical film was made of the TV series, and a lot of people don't know that. And
An old one?
It was made in 1968, and it's really, really good. And
Okay.
It's called House of Dark Shadows.
House of Dark
It's
Shadows.
on, I believe it's free on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
really, really well done. So
Okay. I'm gonna have to look that up because now I've got some recommendations of things to watch tonight.
Yes.
Were very influential. Yeah, Anita, you're correct. That is a big name. Anybody who knows horror knows that name.
Yes.
Well, speaking of horror and creatures and all that, let's talk to you, Miko, about your books and what kind of creatures you have included in them.
You know, at the time when I first met you and I had my store, that's when I was writing my first novel. It's called Raven Diablo. And I wrote that in 2008.
Is that the right one or is that?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And I had no intention of writing a novel, no intention of being a writer. It just kind of, it happened by accident. In the store where I met you, what had happened was a gentleman from England came in to sell some books and movies and stuff. And he saw the Hellraiser poster in back of the counter behind me. And he mentioned that someone in his family had been a producer on that film. So he started talking, and I was like, wow, really? And he mentioned that he himself wanted to get involved in film production. So I pitched him a couple of ideas that I had, one of which was about a superhero in Las Vegas who fought human trafficking and pedophilia. And he thought, wow, that's a pretty cool idea. And I said she was very much inspired by the goddess Kali. And he being from England, he knew a lot about Kali because there's a big Indian population over there and stuff. He said, man, you need to do that. You need to work with that because I could probably, get something happening with that. And make a long story short, I spent the next 3 or 4 months emailing this guy back and forth as I developed the story, right? And then after 3 or 4 months, suddenly he kind of vanished and he wasn't answering my emails. And then I realized that I didn't really know this guy that well. And I had basically given him, he could take the emails he'd written and he could do the story himself. And I freaked out. I remember I sat up in bed one night, it was like midnight. I said,
Yeah.
And I immediately wrote the novel as a way to kind of protect my intellectual property, And that's the only reason I wrote it. And then when the novel came out and people were reading it, I got such cool feedback from it. I thought, wow, maybe I kind of accidentally did something here. And it all came from that. And then the guy, he later popped up and is, hey, he's just a flake is what it was.
Okay.
At least I got a book out of it. So.
Yeah. He inspired you to make that
exactly.
a real thing.
And then once she was born, things just kind of started happening. That's the comic book. It's now a comic book. It's a 3-part comic book. It's been released. It's been in stores. I've been getting a lot of really good feedback from it.
Can we show some of the inside art too?
She's my child. What can I say? I don't have children, but that's my baby.
That's how it is. Your work becomes, just like your child.
She's got some anger management issues, but she's got a good heart. She really does.
Who doesn't have anger management?
If you don't, you probably have an ulcer from holding it in or something.
Right.
So true.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So, I got to say this, when I had my store and the novel came out, and this was even before, thank you very much. I knew that I had something special because a young woman who bought the novel, she came back about 3 months later and I wish I could rip it off the wall and show it to you. She had a tattoo of the character made on her
Oh,
arm,
wow.
the length
That's
of her arm.
awesome.
And I tell you, I almost wanted to tear up. I couldn't believe it. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, that. In fact, she was the one who inspired me to go forward with this, because I thought if someone is going to get a tattoo on her arm, I touched this person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
And
impacted
her
them
name was
greatly.
Lillian Strange.
What a great name too. Ah,
Beautiful. Yeah. So I owe a lot. It's funny how one person can spark something in you, and you don't know where it's going to go. So I owe a lot
sometimes
to
the universe sends you messages in interesting ways that help
That's
keep
right.
that going.
That's right. Absolutely. So thank you,
And-
Lillian,
and-
wherever you are. So
And the creativity allows you to, get yourself out there. It allows you to, like we were talking right before the show started, to exercise some of your demons
yeah.
Mhm.
in a healthy way. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, we were exercising those demons. When we were coming on, and I told you how someone had looked at the art and said, "Well, in a kidding way, but not really kidding. Maybe you got some problems or some deep-seated things going on or whatever." And I took it to heart, and I wondered about that, and because it is the violence in the comic, it's up there, But at the same time, she's killing human traffickers and pedophiles, and they need to go down that way.
Yes, they do.
The harder, the better, as far as I'm concerned. So.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we were talking about this again before the show started, but, we've mentioned it on Spilling Ink many times, how the intrusive thoughts we get. You have a bad day, somebody's cut you off in traffic, somebody stole your lunch again in the lunchroom, even though your name was on it in the fridge. We can't act on those things, but they build up inside, and we need a way to get rid of them in a healthy way. And writing becomes cathartic in that way. You're allowed to do the things you cannot do in your writing and work through those anger issues. So in some ways, that's very healthy to actually have that there.
Yes, it is. It's much better than the alternative. She's late.
Is that what she's saying?
Yes, that's what
Hi,
she's
Rebecca.
saying.
One thing I wanted to ask you both about is that I was thinking today, as I was kind of, thinking about my writing and where things come from. Whenever I write, everything comes out female somehow. My characters are always female, and I have to force myself to create male characters sometimes. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I've never heard of it that way, but I know some people write better in one gender than the other.
Interesting.
Like they feel more connected to it, so their characters come out easier in that gender.
Interesting. Okay.
My first books, my FBI one was primarily a male character.
Okay.
The female almost was secondary when I wrote it, because I was writing about the FBI guy. But yeah. It's tough. I've written male characters from a first person point of view too, so, and female. So
I think a lot of times too, it's how does the character come to you? How does the story inspiration manifest? Who are you hearing first? Because a lot of us, and whether this works for you or not, let me know, but a lot of us tend to almost feel like we're traveling behind our characters and just writing down what they're doing rather than truly inventing them. Like they almost come to you in that fully formed or semi-formed version, and you're just filling in the gaps and chronicling what they do. So, like a divine inspiration, if you want to call it that, or the muse, or however you want to word it. A lot of times it feels like that, like the story shows up, the character shows up, and you're just there for the ride.
Right. Yes.
It's a good feeling too.
Yeah. And they surprise you.
Yeah.
As writers, they surprise you, and it's like
they
should
or they don't.
They surprise you.
Have you ever had a secondary character take over and become the main character?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how the Old Town Pack and the Little Werewolf got started. They were offshoots of my first book.
Yeah, when they take over, it's great. But it's
and Jane, all of your characters flow so much that every character eventually gets fleshed out.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
In fact, that's one of the hallmarks of Jane's books is they're almost always interconnected.
Yeah, lately I have not been interconnecting them, which has been hard because I miss my characters. I miss my people in my head. But yeah, it's I have at least 50 books that are interconnected at this point,
Wow.
in some way.
Anita says she has a villain that tried to take over. Oh, that's scary.
Mhm. Ooh, that is.
Villains, they get pretty persuasive with their reasons for wanting to do what they do. At least
Well,
lately,
they
it
think
seems like
that
villains
they
are
think
very
they're the hero. They think they're the hero.
It's like that meme where it's like low key listening to the villain and agreeing with him. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. I haven't watched season 2, so shush.
I have just finished watching Loki, by the way.
Okay. Yes.
No spoilers, but
No.
watch it.
I will. I will. I'll do it when I'm at my daughter's for Thanksgiving. Because they have Disney Plus. I'm sure I can log on to it here, but
Speaking of that, that brings me up on a topic that I've been kind of looking at for a while, and the whole Disney villain redemption thing that they're doing. At first I hated it, and now I kind of get it. I kind of see, looking at, why the villains became the way they are, and sometimes I agree with them. And their stories are not so bad. They may do bad things eventually, but I can see why they go the way they go, and I kind of like exploring that side of things rather than the goody two shoes, hero only. What about you guys? Are you onto the whole follow the villains, or is it something that's me? Maybe I'm just in my villain phase. I don't know.
Well, it's more of the anti-hero.
But they do it with like villains. They go from the villain perspective, and again with Loki, he was a villain turned to a hero eventually.
My first character started out the villain. Ty was a villain. It was absolutely horrible. he had the redemption arc.
Yeah.
So I guess.
But they got to work through why they're the villain.
Right.
They go through all the horrible shit. They still do all of the horrible shit.
Yep.
I guess my question is, what do you think of? I've heard about these shows, and I'm just curious, what do you think of the writing on the shows?
Depends on the show, really.
Because I've heard some weird things that,
It depends on the shows, really. And sometimes you have to look at it, you have to step back and look at it from the whole season perspective, because individual episodes might have things that are like, why are we doing this? But when you look at the whole series or the whole season, it's like, okay, I can see why you did that. You're leaving breadcrumbs for something, and it makes sense. Some shows, absolutely, the writers are knocking it out of the park when you look at it from that perspective. Other shows, you can tell they're phoning it in, and it's really hit or miss lately.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
do you think you'd be able to
there's another one. Yes.
Yes.
When I hear about the way a lot of shows are written and crafted, I don't think I'd be comfortable writing in a situation like that, in a quote unquote writer's room. And I'm just wondering, what do you think about that? I think some of the greatest works have an individual vision as opposed to a collective vision. I'm just wondering, what do you think?
And I'm kind of on that same page. I agree that individual stuff individually should be one person focused. But when we're talking about like the MCU, so you get the big Marvel universe, you've got a lot of creative teams working on different areas. They all need to coordinate. And that's one of the big problems. They're not coordinating.
Yeah, they need to coordinate. They need to know what somebody else is planning, if it's on the docket beforehand, and how it impacts what they're writing.
What was done, follow the lore, make sure everything, and they're not doing that, which makes it a big problem.
Yeah.
Because you've got individual teams working on these shows, and they're not aware of, or they're not following up with something that was done in the rest of the universe, it really makes for problems. And when it comes to a show, I've never done a writer's room for a TV series. I would love to. Hello, universe, I'm putting that out there.
And you
I've
did
never
great
done
at
a
it.
collaborative. I've never done a collaborative effort on something like that, so I don't know if it's a too many chefs in the kitchen situation, or if it is actually helpful to have everybody going, hey, this, that, the other, I know this from that series, whatever, to pull in, that meeting of the minds in order to come up with something cohesive.
Right.
I don't know how that works. And if any of you out there are aware of that, please say in the comments, because that would be interesting to learn. And like I said, universe, I'm up for it. So, send me some opportunities. But
I mean, from a co-writer standpoint, because we've co-written before, Katie and I, we did very well bouncing things off each other.
And as long as we were on the same page.
Right. But you also have to be willing to give and take.
Yes.
We both were. I wanted to kill the puppies. You said no. I said okay. I'm not killing puppies.
Everything else, not puppies.
So yes.
See, and there you go. Anita says it perfectly. Yes. You've got another MCU, property. You've got the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then you've got the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
The departments aren't talking together and following up with what each other has done. You break that cohesiveness, and we start to lose faith.
Right.
We don't follow it as well. We don't want to, because we know it doesn't matter, or it doesn't make sense, and that really bothers people.
Right.
But if they are working together, yes. And like I said, if you step back and look at it as a season, individual episodes might make you scratch your head and go, why are you doing this? But as the season progresses, you see the breadcrumbs and you understand why they might have made certain choices.
Well, for the sake of discussion, and you brought up Disney, I would say that a big problem is there are too many cooks. And Disney is a great example with what they did with Star Wars. I mean, how do you ruin Star Wars? How do you do that? How do you do that?
That's also
most profitable, successful IP of all time, and Disney ran it into the ground.
That's when you feel like you got licensed to print money and you can do whatever. You don't respect your audience.
Poor George Lucas, what did he say? He felt like he sold his child to the white slavers, and he did. He really did. That's sad.
Yeah, and there's also a bit of oversaturation too.
Yeah.
they went with this is our cash cow, we're going to milk it till it's dry. And while they're doing it, also not having the cohesion, not having the story following the lore, not having things make sense, making choices that just leave most people scratching their heads and them going, yeah, yada, yada, it'll work just fine. It's a lot of things that they did wrong there. And I want to blame the writers. I do. But then I think about it. And I'm like, if the writers are being told, these are your things you have to do.
This is your parameters. Yeah.
So I can't just look at the writers and go, it's the writer's fault, because they're being directed to do whatever they're doing. And somebody's approving what they've done in the end.
Yep. Yeah.
When you're dealing with that much money, you got to take somebody's shit. So
you got to do what you got to do to get your paycheck too. And so there you go. Even if it is, murdering your favorite, franchise.
Yeah.
Disney's an interesting company to watch right now, because even the mainstream media is saying, what's up with this company? What are you doing? That's never happened before.
Oh, the Obi-Wan fiasco. We're not even going to talk about that. I dissected those videos with Brian on Tan Talks, and just the ludicrous way that they did things and the simple fixes they could have done to actually make some of it make sense. Like it blows my mind how poorly they treated a favorite character like that.
Don't get her going on Star Wars.
Keep me all fired up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, come on, we grew up with Star Wars.
Yes.
Like,
they went out of their way to subvert, what they call it, subverting our expectations, or is that?
And that only works to an extent. It only works to an extent. You do have to also pay things off as well. It can't just be subverting everyone's expectations all the time, because you're going to lead people to go, okay, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. I'm not going to watch it anyways. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
If nothing makes sense, why follow it?
Right. Right. And what do you guys
sometimes
think?
You pay off expectations.
True. True.
Right,
and a lot of the movies were prequels of the originals, right? Or
the prequels retrospectively were not as bad when you compare them to what they did with the last three.
Yeah.
Like they had room for improvement on the prequels, definitely, but they were not nearly as bad to the overall lore as those last three books or those last three movies.
Mm-hmm.
And what's worse is they had books, tons of books written that they could have pulled the material from. It was right there, but they chose not to use it.
And the amount of money that they went through for those, it's unbelievable.
Make their own. Like, no, the fans want this. Give them this. What are you doing?
You have to have this. This is where we want to go, but they rerouted us over here.
And the same thing can be said for book to movie adaptations too. The reason the books were so popular is because they had these elements in them. So if you're going to adapt a movie based off of a beloved book, keep the elements in there that were loved. Don't decide to write your own story using characters that you bought.
Right. Pretty much, yeah. Right?
I could go off on a tangent, but I won't.
No, well, that's it. We settled that one. I'm glad to hear that. We can get whack now if you don't want to talk about Whack City.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, Whack City is my love letter to Las Vegas. And what can I say? I have this thing about Las Vegas. People ask me, where are you from? And my first response is Las Vegas, but it's not technically true. My mother was in a particular Midwestern town when she gave birth to me, but I don't consider myself from that town. I'm from Las Vegas because that's where everything kind of came together for me. Not that I got my shit together, not at all, but where I feel like Las Vegas helped me to discover some things about myself, about the world, about the universe. It's like Las Vegas tends to short sell itself so much. It's about tits and glitz and blah, blah, blah. And there's so much more to Las Vegas than that. In fact, one of the main points that I try to make in my book, and I've been writing about Las Vegas for years, is that it's a very spiritual place. It would have to be a spiritual place, because if it's going to declare itself as some kind of sin city, it's got to have some balance too. And I tell you, the greatest, sweetest, most wonderful people I've ever met, I met in Las Vegas. I met some real life angels, and I'm not kidding, no hyperbole. I met angels in Las Vegas, and I've met demons in Las Vegas, literally. And I've never seen a place in the world where that was so true, where Las Vegas to me it's like, it's reality. It's reality. It's like angels and demons are right next to one another. They live on the same street. And I don't see another city, another place in the world where that's more true than Las Vegas. I mean, I love that place. I can't say enough about it. I'm kind of obsessed with it, as you can probably tell. I'll tell you something really funny. I don't want to forget this. When I was in my store, I met two different customers who did not know one another, who lived in the same apartment complex, and they both told me it was haunted. Yeah. Big time. In fact, I'll tell you where it's on. It's called the Fleur de Lis. It's right off of Maryland. What is that strip mall? The Maryland and DI. What is that strip mall that's Maryland and DI?
I know the area you're talking about.
It'll come to me, but yeah, a haunted. There's a lot of that kind of stuff.
That's right by the old Boulevard Mall.
Right, exactly. It's across the street. Yeah.
I used to live near there too. When I called it the corner of Crack Alley, because it was a really bad neighborhood, but really cool apartments. But yeah, I
I met
believe
some
it.
people that they would have been considered vampires back in the day. I mean,
Okay.
people who were clearly not human, or if they were hybrid beings.
Maryland Parkway was a unique street. It had its own character.
Yeah.
All the way from where you're talking about over by the boulevard down towards UNLV. Is that was where the cafes were that I hung out with back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and they no longer exist. They've been bulldozed and new stuff has been replaced. But there was a very unique character to that specific area. And it was eclectic, and it was, if you belonged, you belonged. And I still have fond memories of living over by that area.
Yeah, there's a lot of vibe throughout Vegas. It's just that, like I said, for me, it's there's a dark spirituality, but there's a light spirituality too. Like I said, I've known angels there.
You can't have the dark if you don't know the light.
Absolutely.
Right. It's that opposites that allow you to recognize what they are.
The thing that's weird about Vegas is it's like they play up the what happens here stays here sort of a thing, and it's like they don't even want to go into the other aspects of it. I don't know, maybe they don't think it's as fun, but I don't know. There are a lot of people that are connected to spirituality as much as sensuality. I mean,
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out here. What's interesting is it's written into the laws. You have to have special business licenses for anything occult out here. Whether it's astrology or tarot readings or anything that's considered occult, you have to have a special business license.
Really?
In order to operate here, yeah.
That's interesting.
That is.
See, I've only visited, through a business trip. So I know very little bit about Vegas outside of, Caesar's Palace and the pool.
You see the strip. That's what you're meant to see. You're meant to see the adult playground that's been created.
Yes.
You go a mile away from the strip and it's a totally different place.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. My husband's been there more than I have, but yeah.
Did you do much hiking? Katie, you do any hiking at all in Las Vegas?
Occasionally I do. I like to get out to Red Rock every so often.
Yeah.
Valley Fire is gorgeous. There's a park not too far from me that I call it my favorite urban hike because it's right around the Black Mountain. And if you climb up not too far, you've got this gorgeous view of the strip. It's absolutely gorgeous, unobstructed view of the strip, the whole city, the valley. It's just beautiful. And it's within the city. It's an urban hike because they built so far out now that the mountain is part of Henderson. When you were here, you probably remember there being a gap between Henderson and Boulder City. That gap is a blip now. It's a blip. We almost go completely out to Boulder City now.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So where are you right now, Miko?
I was going to say Indianapolis.
Okay. All right.
I like that.
Indianapolis, Indiana. Yeah. It's
okay.
That's where my mother was when she had me. So.
Okay. And I'm in New Hampshire, so I'm completely on the other side of the country from you guys.
I left my heart in Las Vegas, so I'll be getting back there. So.
See, and I feel like I've been stuck here. Like once I was moved here when I was a kid. Okay. I was a sophomore in high school when I moved out here. And as many times as I've tried to leave, there's always been something that's held me back. I'm not allowed to leave Vegas, so I've been stuck here.
I can dig it. Yeah. It's got an energy for some people, and it's definitely got it for me, for sure.
And it's not a bad city. I say that like I'm stuck here like it's a bad thing. It's not a bad city. It's a very interesting city to live in.
There's a lot of people watching.
Yeah, there is. There is. But, I rarely ever go to the strip. Rarely. Right. I think the last time I went was for my daughter's wedding, but it might have been years before, since the last time I'd been there. And it's always changing. Every few years, the strip gets a facelift. It's new. It's changed. They demolish the old and rebuild into something new. So it's always interesting to see. But you go a mile away from the strip, and it's a totally different place than what the tourists see.
Right. the most fascinating people I ever met in my life, I met in Las Vegas. It's just something about them, particularly the OGs, because when you talk to them, I mean, they've got all the knowledge, but the way they put it out there, the way they articulate the way things were back in the day, I could just listen to those stories. And, I had my store, and then I managed a bookstore before I had my store. So in fact, what I used to do is after hours, I would have OGs come in and I would videotape interviews. And that's how I built up a lot of my knowledge about Las Vegas, because I got it straight from the people who lived there back in the day. So
You probably got a ton of really cool stories.
I really do. I really do. That's where I met some angels for sure.
Mhm.
And a demon. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So what was the wildest story you were privy to?
Well, the haunted, the people who were in the same, I thought that was pretty strange because they didn't know one another in the same complex. And the reaction that each had was kind of interesting. The woman who lived in the complex, she said she moved immediately, right? She left. The guy, he stayed there for a couple of years. And he would tell me what he'd get up in the morning and things would be rearranged around the house. And I'm like, dude, you stay there? I'd be gone too. Because no, they weren't bothering anything. They were cool or whatever. I mean, if you've ever met people who've had experiences like that, some people are very cool with it, whereas I'd have a heart attack.
Yep. You wake up in the morning like, God damn it, George, stop. I am not in the mood. Let's wait till I get my coffee.
Yeah. I've known people, and I can't even imagine. I've never had a supernatural experience, and I don't want one,
And somebody who has lived in multiple houses that could be considered haunted, that is generally how you experience it. You're just like, seriously? No, come on. I'm not in the mood today.
You've had you've had that happen?
I have.
Really?
In fact, that when I was growing up, my house in Texas was haunted to the point that my parents called in a priest to try and bless it to get rid of the spirits. They would slam doors on my mother, which I always found hilarious.
Oh my God.
I had a few experiences where I saw something that wasn't there, but I saw it, like somebody taking their hands around the edge of a door frame and kind of peekaboo and disappearing, or from the corner of your eye you catch. I caught a woman in a dress twirling because she had a big poofy skirt, and it never bothered me. I never had fear of it.
Wow.
And so every house that I lived in where I would see stuff, it was just it didn't bother me. And there were instances where I would see something and I'm not now. Okay. And then they would disappear and I wouldn't, have to worry about it. I've never had a poltergeist experience. So that might be different.
Okay. My sister-in-law, who we just visited in North Carolina, her mother passed away last year. And in their home that they had before this one, they sold it because she lived with them in a sort of an in-law apartment. After she died, the TV would randomly turn on.
Oh, shit.
Now that they're gone from that house, they're still on the property, but in a different house now. She said she thought it was Dennis moving, my brother-in-law moving the picture, because she'd wake up and it would be sideways. It was her mom's picture, and she'd go fix it. And finally, she said to him, "If you want to see that, see the thing that's behind it, we can move our picture." And he was like, "I haven't been touching it."
Wow.
So yeah, her mom's letting her know that she's still there.
Yep.
Well, if they're cool spirits, I suppose, but just I don't want anything moving that I didn't move. It's just
right.
The thought is too unnerving.
And she's very OCD about things, so
her
mother's messing with her. So
yeah, I never was bothered by it because I grew up with stuff like that happening. So, but it never happened negatively. Like I said, never poltergeist situation. So I didn't have any ingrained fear of it. It was just kind of like, okay, here we go again. Leave me alone. I'm not in the mood right now. Go do your thing somewhere else. And that was it. Although when we moved into this house, both me and my oldest daughter could swear that there's a cat, a ghost cat that likes to run in the hallway. And we'll see something out of the corner of our eye, but nobody else has seen it. And she's since moved out, so I'm the only one here. But I swear, there's a ghost cat, just peeking around in the hallway, running back and forth, not causing any trouble.
How does your dog take that?
She doesn't care about anything.
Okay.
Missy does not care about anything. She's the most chill husky, and if you know what huskies are, this makes no sense. She's the most chill husky you will ever
They're
meet.
usually pretty wired, yeah.
Yes.
She doesn't make a sound. She never barks. In fact, if you ever hear her bark, it freaks you out because that's how rare it is for her to make a sound. And when I bring people over, as long as I'm letting them in, she just accepts them. She doesn't, bark. She doesn't growl. She's just chill. She's the little most chill dog I've ever met.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, we're having the driveway sensor is now randomly going off.
Oh no!
Just randomly, and we're turning it off at night because we think there is some animal that has swallowed something that's metal that's running back and forth every now and then and setting it off.
Oh no!
Yes, we've had that since we got home. But the new alarm system is nice, except for the driveway sensor. So yeah, the last time we talked, they had just come and they had to come back. But they came back on the day we were leaving, on the day we were flying out. They were here for 6 hours, and I was getting a little antsy because I'm like, okay, we got to go.
Couldn't figure it out.
No, they replaced the whole system.
Okay.
So we don't need the landline anymore. We got rid of the landline.
Okay.
So everything, we can do it from our phone, which is nice.
That's cool.
Although when we got back, we didn't realize we could do it from our phone. And the pad in our bedroom was like this blue light shining out of the light, like this bright blue light. We figured out how to turn off the light, but
oh my goodness.
I'm like, well, it works. But now we have the light turned off and we just do it by the phone. So
okay.
But yeah. So
one thing, not that I want to ask before I forget, but I've got these two authors in front of me right now. And this may be more for Katie. I've got my paranormal sort of novel about Las Vegas. Are there more paranormal, supernatural things coming about Las Vegas you're familiar with? Because I don't see that many. Are there?
All my stuff is written from Vegas.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So there's me and you then for sure. Then
I use Vegas because it's my home turf.
Okay.
There are a couple other Vegas authors who do use Vegas for their supernatural playground.
Okay. I just
wondered.
And I've
just got more.
I've actually had one in Vegas.
Okay.
My siren had to go to Vegas to, and that was really hard for her because she had to have seawater packaged because otherwise she would die.
It's a fun playground to work with. It really is.
Yep.
And it is such a unique city that when you get to play with that, you get to really work with how unique the city is. It makes for, I think, the city becomes its own character in the story.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it is for me. That's exactly what it is for me. I've got it's been up for about
Werewolf PI. That's cool. I'll have to look for that one. That's a series I'm not familiar with, but now I will have to look up.
I was going to say I've got a documentary / mockumentary that's been on YouTube for about 10 years now, and it's called Occult Las Vegas Revealed.
Oh.
And take a look at it because it's my whole philosophy about Vegas in about 20 minutes condensed.
Okay. Do you have a link you can?
I'll send you one.
Okay, yeah, because I want to check it out, and I will definitely put it in our show comments for our viewers.
I will definitely do that. And what happened was when I put that out, it was kind of tongue in cheek in a way at the time, because what had happened was there was the ad campaign, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And that really got on my nerves because it's stolen. That saying has been around for years. And it just annoyed me that they could make money on something that's basically belongs in the public domain, you know. So I thought, well, I can come up with something that's as interesting as that. So originally my mockumentary was supposed to be my ad campaign about Vegas, what I think about Vegas. And I put it out there, and then I started getting contacted from people, mainly in the pagan community, who were telling me that everything I was saying was like right on target. Yeah. So
yeah, you definitely send me that link. I want to check that out for sure, and I
sure
will put it in the show comments for our viewers to be able to find as well.
I'll do that.
That sounds awesome.
I hope so.
Yeah, don't knock.
So we talked about Wax City. I'm going to pull the cover up again.
Yeah, someone said they like the cover. You know, I'll say something about that cover. That is Lady Luck to me. That's how I see luck, because some people look at that. I had that poster in my story. You probably don't remember, at least the eyes back in the day. Some people would look at that and get freaked out and think it was something evil about it. Other people would look at it and think, oh, there's something sexy about it. It's either. It's whatever you bring to it. And that's a big part to me of what Las Vegas is. What you bring to it, it's going to get magnified. That's why a lot of people come to Vegas and they crash and burn. Don't come to Vegas if you got like a lot of hardcore problems and stuff, because they will get magnified. But good things can be magnified as well. And I'd like to feel that I became a better person from living in Las Vegas. I hope so.
All right. We got to do a fun little experiment here.
Yeah.
Because when I look at the eyes, I get two things.
Okay.
And I before I tell you what they are,
okay,
I want to get Jane to say her things as well. And then you tell me what you think those might mean. We'll kind of do a little psychology experiment here. So I've got two things I want to say when I look at those eyes. Jane, come up with, one or two things that you think of when you see those eyes. Let me know when you're ready. Like just the first words that pop into your head.
You want me to say them?
You won't hurt.
Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So Miko, you be our psychoanalyst here.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to say mine.
Okay.
Jane, you've got yours. When I look at those eyes, I get two words. I get indifference and I get dare.
Really? Okay.
Those are the two things I think of when I see the eyes.
Okay.
And Jane, what do you think?
I have a little erotic side there and a little fear me.
Okay.
From that.
Because Miko, when you said that people sometimes see it as sexy and sometimes see it as scary, it like gave me that idea. It's like everyone's going to see something different when they look at that, and what they see might be reflective of what's going on either in their head or the reality they're seeing. And so when I looked at those eyes, I got indifference. Like, I don't fucking care what happens, but I dare you to try.
I like that. Yeah. It works.
What do we think? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I have the fear me, I'm going to eat you alive type of thing.
That's the writer brain working. That's the writer brain working. And for our audience out there too, let me put it up one more time. What do you see? What are these eyes telling you? Give me some words in the comments. What are these eyes telling you? Because I really think the eyes are very attractive. And that's the first thing you see when you look at this cover. It's those eyes. And they're saying something, but I think they're saying something different to everyone. And that's what the draw is. That's what's making you stare at this cover. Is it's telling you something different. So studio audience, our viewers, put in the comments what these eyes are telling you. Sorry, had to play a little game.
Buy my book.
Yes, buy the book.
Please, and leave a review.
That is what the eyes are saying. Buy me, buy me, buy me. But yeah, it is a really cool cover. And I think that we've talked many times, the covers, everyone judges the book by the cover, no matter how much, we say it's a cliche, it is true. And those covers can make or break a book before even, anybody sees what the book is about.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So having something that draws the reader in, that draws the eye and makes somebody want to look a little longer is important.
Yeah, very true.
Anita says, I see arrogance. Oh, I like arrogance. That's a good word. And a haunted look too.
Hmm.
I like that. I like that. And I think, again, everyone's going to see something a little bit different in those eyes.
Vegas. Can't
So
wait
when
to
are you coming back to Vegas?
I'll be there in December.
Oh, so not too long.
Yeah, so not
That's
too
that's right around the corner, literally.
Permanent resident or just for visit?
For a short visit, but I'm going to be getting back at least once a month.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And what I'm hoping to do is have a property there and then keep my mom's house here and then just kind of go back and forth. Maybe ideally be in Vegas for the winter and then back here in the Midwest in, July and August.
Yeah, it will be
Yeah, especially if you don't
warmer.
like winters. It gets cold there.
No, I don't like winter. I do not like winter. It's nice on a postcard, but I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, I have mountains, so I don't ski though because I'm a disaster. I'd break if I fell.
It's funny being away from Vegas. I've been away for since COVID,
Mhm.
Okay.
and just kind of came back for a minute, but it's been about 3 years or so. And it's just, it's like anything. You when you're away from something, then you realize how much it meant to you, how it affected you, what it did to you. And now when I go back to Vegas, I think I'll have a better appreciation for it, for sure. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, if that's the place that's drawing you in, then yeah. You feel more at home when you're there than when you're anywhere else in the world. That's
Absolutely.
your place.
That's my spot for sure.
So
what's the weather like there anyway right now? What's going on there?
It's beautiful right now.
I don't want to hear about it.
We hit our beautiful season where, yes, to us it's cold, but to anybody who deals with an actual winter, it's warm. It's like tropical.
What, it's
We're in
like
the
70?
70,
I was like,
60s.
it's 70?
Yeah, we got a little bit of rain this last week. That was kind of a surprise. And, the air is fresh and crisp right now. And I have my windows open and I love it. I love it.
Fresh and crisp is this.
I can't see. What is this? Ah! Whoa, no.
Oh, that was at 6:30. So hold on. Yeah.
The one thing about the colder weather in this part of the country is that I have capes and long coats and stuff, and I get a chance to wear that stuff. So
yes. Yeah. Yeah, we're probably gonna have snow maybe in the next couple of days up here. But
I would like to see some snow. That would be nice.
you can visit. We have rooms. Yeah, I told you that. You can
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. I might take you up on that offer. Just show up on your doorstep one day. I'm here.
Hi. We have rooms.
Your security alarm will go off. You're like, what the hell? Hi.
And it'll actually be a car. Not some random thing, a chipmunk running through the woods. Or some ghost haunting us that I need to freaking banish.
No, this is our beautiful season, though. I love living here during this season because while, yes, it's cold to me, it's not freezing cold. It's bearable cold. And it's lovely. I hate the summers because anytime we get over triple digits, it's just oppressive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was down in North Carolina and it was cold down there for them. And I went out with wet hair on the porch in the sunshine and I'm like, just in my t-shirt. I'm like, this is wonderful. It wasn't quite 70 degrees yet. And I was just like, this is heaven. My house is set at like 68 anyway. So
that's the other thing that's nice about winters. Again, keep in mind our cold is different than your cold.
Yep.
But I love having the windows open so that I can have a cold room and I can bundle up.
Yep. Cold and clear, crisp air. Yes.
Yeah. I love being able to bundle up and just snuggle into warm blankets.
And it's a dry cold, which is very different from a wet cold.
Yes, it's a dry cold.
It doesn't get into your bones.
No. Although with the anemia, I do have issues staying warm, but
Yeah.
it's still so much more manageable than what you guys deal with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, we've hit an hour already. I don't know how we did that. Like,
I don't know either.
Where did
This is
the
where I
time
tell you
go?
about you can reach me at my website and all that stuff. Or
Yeah.
Yes,
We
it
need to make sure everyone knows where to find you so that they can. And again, I will put everything in our show notes afterwards so that viewers who are not watching the live stream will easily be able to find you later.
And I'll send you a link to the documentary I told you about. And my website is just my name, MikoMontgomery.com. It's
Easy
the portal
peasy, I
to
like
all
that.
things Miko. In fact, someone commented the picture. That's a poster. The book cover is also a poster. So if anyone's interested, yeah, that's available. Once you go wacky, yeah, all that stuff.
Awesome.
So come visit me.
I love it.
All right, excellent.
Oh wait, we forgot to even show these pictures.
Oh, and me and Clive, yeah. Oh my, look at that.
Oh my goodness, look at that. That's awesome.
He is. I look like I need to be haunting houses or something.
No, that picture needs to be framed. That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, he was congratulating me. So anyway, but yeah, please visit me at my website, MikoMontgomery.com.
Thank you for being very flexible with us. We're so sorry for the last lights out.
Being interested. Thank you. Let's do it again. Maybe when my comic book comes out, next year.
Absolutely. Yes, please come back.
Absolutely, I want to. So.
Yeah, welcome anytime, and you know where to reach me.
Absolutely. All right. You look for those movies I told you about too.
I will. Yeah. I will. I'm
All
gonna
right.
be looking at those tonight. That's probably gonna be what I do all night tonight.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. We will talk to you next time we are live on Spilling Ink. I don't think we have a schedule set for the rest of the year because with holidays coming up, it's kind of wonky.
Yeah, we'll play it by ear and we'll be like, "Hi, we're here."
And then we'll reevaluate and start again fresh in January.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Bye-bye.
We will see you next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.